Hello everyone, welcome back. It's April the 20th and we're going to update our COVID-19 New York City infected model. Yes, okay, so here's where we left off last time. We had 64 pieces of data. We went up to... what was it? February... what is it? April 12th. There were 2 pieces of data on April 12th. When was that? April 12th was last Sunday. Okay, I think I have data today until April 19th, which was yesterday, Sunday. Okay, good. So this is the updated model. I already added the data. This is the data for the last few days. Now, after the 13th, which was last Monday, they only gave 1 piece of data in the evening every night. They didn't do 2 pieces of data like they had been the prior days, if you recall, AM and PM, like on the 10th, right? So that's all we got. So if you want to add these pieces of data to your model, don't forget your homework tonight. Redo the logistic model on your graphing calculator using the T84 emulator I gave you, or the iPad emulator for the Inspire, the 84 emulators for the Chromebook. Alright, all that stuff is posted here. The new model is here. Up to the 12th, that model is linked on the last Monday. This is for today, the 20th, right? So there you go. Alright, so anyway, so here's all the data up to last time. If you recall, what happened was we had 64 pieces of data, and then it leveled off to about 124,000 cases. It didn't really get much beyond 124,000 cases about 50 days later, right? 64 and 50 is 114, right? Yeah. So remember, there were 2 pieces of data every day, so 50 pieces of data is really 25 days, so about 4 weeks. Well, about 4 weeks, okay? So, and it looked like the logistic curve looks like this. Alrighty, leveling off at about 1.2 times 10 to the 5th, so a little over 120,000, 124, right? Alrighty, and we have 64 pieces of data, about 104 pieces of data. It levels off more or less, right? Okay, let's see what happens here. Let's click evaluate. I just added this data. Well, no, I already ran it. 72 pieces of data. And now let's see what it says. Let's go to logistic graph for New York City infected population, cumulative over the past several weeks. And now it tops out at over 160,000. Oh boy. Or close to 160,000. Maybe it looks like it's just under 160,000. Here's a model this time. Alright, so our data, we had 72 pieces of data. Right, there you go. This is the model. This is the data we inputted. This is how close the model matches. It's not really that close there, but okay. And so if we go after 72 days, that's where we left. Our input ends here. Let's extrapolate the data. Let's see where it levels off. Looks like 157. Yeah, it doesn't go beyond 157 really. Alright, so 157,000 cases. When's the first time we see 157,000 cases? That would be day 126. So from 72, still about 50 days, 50 pieces of data, a little over that. 27 days. So now it's saying almost still 4 weeks. We still got 4 weeks till we plateau, meaning we max out the infected population. We don't get a lot more infected people every day. We're still getting a lot more infected people every day, but the rate of growth is itself decreasing. So the derivative of this function is positive. It's increasing. The function is increasing. The tangent line slopes are positive. But the rate of increase is decreasing. The slope of the slope is negative, so it's decreasing, sort of like decelerating. Okay, so there's that. Now for your homework, you really don't have to put in 72 pieces of data. The first 24, 28 pieces of data is enough. Give me a logistic curve on your calculator and see what you get. Alrighty. Now what I thought we'd do today is take code from last week. This is the code from last week, and show you how to run it in sort of like a more standard command line interface. Let me show you what I mean. So if you go to sandbox.cs50.io again, instead of adding a Jupyter notebook, which gives you all those cells and graphics, let me throw in an X window. So this is basically the same as a Linux desktop. It's based on Ubuntu Linux. You're going to get a text editor. You're going to get a command line. And then I just added this graphic window. It's called X11 graphics based on Unix. So if you use CS50.io by itself, not Sandbox of CS50.io, you just get a text editor and text output, and that's it. But I'm adding a little graphic window so I can do some graphs. Okay, but otherwise it's basically a Linux desktop. Okay, let's see it. Okay, come on, let's go. All right, setting up the sandbox. So this is basically, on the top it's going to be a text editor, on the bottom it's going to be a command line, and that's basically all we need to do programming in Computer Science AP, Computer Science A, when we used to have a Linux desktop in room 429. This is going to be extra. This is where I'm going to put the X11 graphics. All right. So that's what Sandbox lets me do. It lets me add the little graphics here. But otherwise, it's basically just, look, I'm going to make a file. I'm going to call it, what did I call it? Infected New York City JSON.py. Okay, I'm going to say infected New York City JSON. Now what's JSON? JSON is a way to input data from a file. So this is going to be a little bit different how we input the data. All right. So I already wrote this up. I'm just going to cut and paste. This is the setup with all the imports. Let's put the imports in. Make sure that they work before we get going. All right. Now see the same thing from last time. Okay. So look, if you just try to run it, this is how you run it from the command line. Just say Python. This is based on Python. Just say Python and your file name. It's already saved. It's already in there. So if you run it, it's going to complain that it imports stuff probably. Let's see what it does. And it says there's no SciPy. All right, so I'm going to have to import. Okay, well, anytime I import new stuff, I want to upgrade pip. Pip is just a file manager that, like, that's used for installing stuff into Python. So let's update that. Make sure it's up to date. There you go. And now if I run it, up arrow repeats any command you wrote already. Up arrow twice repeats the last one before that. It's still going to complain, right? Because I didn't import anything. I mean, I'm importing stuff, but I didn't install anything, right? Okay. So I'm going to have to install SciPy, which gives us all the array functions we had last time. This is almost the same thing as what we did in the Jupyter Notebook last week, or the Interactive Python Notebook. It was recently renamed or merged with the Jupyter project. It was two separate projects that were similar. The Jupyter project and the Interactive Python Notebook. Those files were ending in .ipnb, right? Interactive Python Notebook. And Jupyter basically the same thing now. All right, I might as well just cut to the chase. This is for the R² stuff. Remember last time we had to do that? So I'll just copy and paste it here and run that. Come on. All right, so all this stuff now should be installed into Python. These are not standard Python libraries that come installed automatically in Ubuntu. By the way, this is Ubuntu, right? Ubuntu uname Linux uname-a. Yep, Ubuntu. See, version 1804. In other words, from 2018 April edition. So this is like the latest edition of Ubuntu. Good. Fine. So clear that. So if I run the program again with the Python command, it should not complain. Good, perfect. Everything's installed, but I didn't really write any code to do anything yet. Okay. Now this is just code I cut and paste from last time. I'm going to enter the model, the logistic model, and I'm going to enter data from a file. Okay, so this is new. So if I put this here, okay, I can't really run this until I have a file, right? So what's the name of the file now? New York City et al.json. Okay, so I'm going to create that. New York City et al. New York City underscore et underscore all, in other words, everybody else. Dot, is it all with the two L's? Ah, I should have did all. That's weird. Okay, dot JSON. You know what? I'm going to change that. Make it all dot JSON. All right, now what's a JSON file? It's just a text file with data in it. and JSON is a system we can use. Notice I imported JSON, but I didn't have to install it because it's part of Python. Same thing with NumPy. I just had to I didn't have to really install anything but SciPy and sklearn, right? That was it. Okay. So what I want to do is change this piece right here. Just make the file name that. Et al. Means everybody else. What does that mean? Well, I've been following the infected populations of not just New York City on my own, but earlier on I was playing with Italy, I was playing with Iran, and I was using this sandbox and JSON file and everything in China and Norway and Spain and Germany. But I stopped following them after a while, and I've just been following New York City, as you know, all this time. So I'm going to copy this. This is all the contents, the data file that I need. I'm going to copy all of them. I could run any one of these if I want. For the same program, and just say I want Norway or Germany or whatever it is. I'm going to copy it, Control C. Get over here, paste it, Control V. There it is. Okay. So here's all that data. And for you computer science honors people, this is a Python dictionary. What does that mean? It's like an array, except the indices aren't sub 0, sub 1, sub 2, sub 3, sub 4. Right? If you think of a string, like the string school, right? So we call name equals string school. Name sub 0 is S, name sub 1 is C, name sub 2 is H, name sub 3 is O, name sub 4 is O, name sub 5 is L, right? It's an array of characters. That's what a string is. Well, instead of the indices being numbers, the indices are words or whatever you want. So the sub NYC entry is all this data, is a list. So this is a dictionary of lists. Okay, so each list, each country or city or whatever it is, has a list. See the square brackets? Has a list of data, and it ends with another square bracket there, right? So then the index Italy, right? It's not index sub 0, sub 1, sub 2. It's index NYC, index Italy, index, China, whatever it is. Then there's this list of infected. So I'm not going to highlight it because I'm going to mess it up. All the way up to the square bracket that closes it. Then Iran, and like that. All right. So that's what a dictionary is. It's sort of an array where the indices are not numbers. They're what you make up labels or keys. They're called keys. And in this case, it's an array. It's sort of like an array of arrays where the indices are keys, any key you want. And the inputs, the data is another list. So what's going on here is, look, I'm going to open that file to read it as read only, as a file, and then I'm going to load that file as data. Then I'm going to read from NYC or Iran or Spain or whatever I want. I'm going to read that data, put it into an array. That's my Y array, my input data, the Y values, or the infected people, right? The number of infected people each day, AM, PM, all that stuff, right? And then the length of the array is my X coordinates. That's also an array. Sub 0, sub 1, sub 2, sub 3 will be the X axis that we've been graphing, right? So now that I have the data and all the imports and all the everything here, right? I can run this again and look what it says. Print out the Y values and print out the X values. Okay, so let's do that. Up arrow, enter. And wait, I didn't print it. Wait, did I have here that I was going to print it? I thought I had that there somewhere. Yeah, here it is. Okay, I'm going to print all that out, see that the input was correct. I just did this ahead of time so I don't mess anything up. Do this quick. Alrighty, so let's add to that here. Now let's run. Okay, this is automatically saved under this file name. That's already saved. By the way, there's a whole directory structure going on here. Alright, that's your folder, or directory, I should say. See, directory sidebar it says. Okay. Alright, so let's run it. Now it should list out all the Y values and all the X values. See, here's all the Y values all the way up to the 132,467 infecteds from April 19th in New York City yesterday. All right, and then these are all the X values. So they're going to plot from X equals 0 to X equals 71. Because there's 72 cases. If you start counting at 0, that's 72 cases, right? All right, so far so good. Perfect. Now, what else did we do? Well, I'm not going to do everything we did last week. I'm going to create the model and graph it. Alright, so here we go. So now I'm inputting the data into the model. Okay, so we're going to input all this data into this model up here, this logistic model thing. Okay, so that's what this is about. And it'll give me my R squared value and all that stuff. Right, exactly. So let's go here. I'm going to go down here, hit clear, and then up arrow, enter. and this is very, very Linuxy. Okay, so here's your model. That's your A value. Remember the model? A is in the numerator. That's if x goes to infinity with a negative exponent, this piece drops out and it becomes 1 plus 0 divided into A is just A. So that's like the limiting population. Wow, 232,000, really? 2.324-ish times 100,000, e to the 10 to the 5th. And then this is your B value. That's your vertical shift. It went down 1,300, I guess. No, you multiply with 10,000. 13,000 something is your like your y-intercept, or your, well, not your y-intercept, but it's taking your logistic graph and shifting it down that much. And then the C value, there's a C value, which is times 10 to the negative 2, so 0.05 something. It's a very small C value, but I'm making it negative exponential, so this is decaying. And your D value is your horizontal shift. It's only about 61 units, right? This is 10 to the first times 6.1 is 61. And my R square value, my coefficient of determination, is very close to 100%. That's nice. So let's graph it. And here's the piece that we used last time to graph it. It's the same exact code we used last time. I'm just doing it in a different environment. Show you how to the other half lives, I guess. Let's clear this out here. Let's add that down at the bottom. There you go. And so that's just creating a plot. Remember, we had to import Matplotlib library. From there, import pyplot and called it PLT. The curve fit thing we did already. The R squared thing we did already. The curve fit thing is here, and the R squared thing is here. Right, that was the last two outlets. The curve fit is just using the data given to create our model, right, of y values. And we could also print those y values if we wanted, but I didn't do that. But okay, so let's just graph. That's all I want to do. All right, so let's do it. Up arrow, enter, and we get a graph. There it is. Okay, let me expand this a little bit. I can expand this too. And there's your logistic curve. All right, so like last time we had data up to about 72 pieces of data, right? Now this one, we said it would level off at around 124. This model isn't quite doing that. It's going over 200,000 and leveling up way over here. So according to this, it's not going to plateau for like 6 weeks, and it's going to be way over 200,000, 210,000 or something like that. Oh boy, I don't think we're anywhere near the end of this, but at least it's slowing down. The number of infected cases is less and less every day. If you listen to Governor Cuomo's presentation every day, everything's been getting better, I guess. Less infected every day, less dying every day, that's a good thing. All right, you're not required to do the sandbox stuff, even if you're computer science honors, because we didn't get CS405d.io to sign the student privacy waiver thing. So I'm not telling you to do this, but this is sort of nice to know how this works. And all you need to do this, though, is a GitHub account. Just create a free GitHub account, and you can log into Sandbox. That's CS405d.io. Or just CS405d.io and just do the text-based stuff, no graphics, right? Okay, and that's it for today. So don't forget tonight's homework. I want to see that logistic regression on your calculator, whether it be a TI-84C emulator or Inspire emulator or a handheld. If you have an iPad, I saw some of you using an iPad emulator. That's nice. Some of you have the Chrome OS emulator. That's what I'm using when I'm recording on my Chromebook. It's in my Droid environment. My Chrome OS, I'm really running Droid apps a lot. Here I'm on my Linux desktop in my office. This is also Ubuntu, so there you go. All right, so I hope that was helpful. Bye-bye. Good luck with your homework. Hope everyone's staying safe. See you tomorrow.